Hey guys, Morgan's Maintenance. Today's tool review is going to be for a Malco 1/4 inch and 5/16 bit. Not like your standard Malco here. This is the one that everybody's got that's a nut driver on both sides, magnetic, cleanable, all those things. I've got lots of different sizes up here in my tool bag, metric of different sizes and standard. I keep those up in there. This one's a little bit different. It's still 1/4 inch, still 5/16, still made by Malco, but it's got these saw teeth up here, and ultimately these are mostly made for, I think, HVAC guys getting into where they're taking out that duct sealant, screws that are covered in that, or tape, or whatever it might be. I don't typically get into that with these, or I'm not going to get into that. That's not something I get into, is demoing out duct work or anything like that. But I have a specific use that I purchased this for that's not for that. So again, maybe these are geared towards HVAC techs, but I think in certain cases almost any of us out there will find a use for this. Now, it's pricey, so that's one thing. That's the reason why I just now bought it, was because I had a specific job come up that it was going to be useful for. Other than that, this thing's going to run you like $27 for the 2-inch, which is what I ended up buying, and I think that that's too expensive in my opinion for what it is. But it's got a, I don't know what goes into the cost of making this to where it has these teeth right here. And again, this one's still reversible. It's still cleanable just like your other Malcos, because there are some other versions out there that kind of do the same thing, but they're solid. They're not reversible. So you can get a 5/16 pair, you can get a 1/4 inch piece. But I think it's very nice to be able to take this off, because I mean, ultimately you're cutting out material. It's going to get all in there. The fact that you can take this off and clean it makes it very useful. So they have a 2-inch one for $26, and then they also have a 6-inch one for like $31. Now, me personally, I would only buy the 2-inch one, because with it being a 1/4 inch and 5/16, you've got a big head on it anyway, so it's never going to be a problem to use an extension. Sometimes with extensions on things, this right here is too big and it won't let you get in some places, but that's going to always be smaller than your bit itself. So if it was me, if I was going to buy one, I'd just buy a 2-inch one and then use your 6-inch bit extension and make you a long one in the times that you need a long one. That way you've got both options, because you can't make a long one short and use it, but you can make a short one long in the times that you would need a long one. So I'd get you a locking bit holder like this and then use it like that. So again, the only real difference between this and a regular Malco is these teeth that you can see on here that will cut through whatever that material is that you're needing to get to that fastener to be able to remove it. I'll show you some here. So the job that I'm working on, I'm currently working at a house that's been for sale for quite some time. That's why you'll see the yards growing up and things like that. But this was found during a home inspection. They have this sunroom with this melamine board out here on the exterior, which is essentially a pressed wood with a coating over the top of it. This is the kind of things like the bookshelves at Walmart and things like that. If you go buy something that's put together furniture, that's kind of what this is made out of. So they're basically having us change it out to vinyl siding, just getting rid of this board, because several of the places I've taken this off has been wet and swelled up. But around the outside perimeter, they put this vinyl brick mold to kind of cover the side of this. And all the places where they attached the brick mold, they used a Tapcon with a 5/16 head, and then they just shoved some caulk in around it. So right now, currently, to get that out, I have to take my 5/16 bit, try to get in there to that. So the only way to really go about doing that is to get out a knife or something and start cutting away that caulk to access that screw head, just so I can get enough on it in order to pull it out. So that's what I've done so far, and that's what kind of made me decide to go ahead and buy this bit. Now, I could just go ahead and break this board off around that, which is actually what I did do on some of those. But you can see that that screws way down deep in there, covered up with a lot of caulk. And again, I can get it out eventually with this regular one once I get enough of it cleared out. You can see that I just got that loose right there. But that's a lot of extra steps, so I decided I was going to go ahead and buy this with the shark teeth, see if it can eat away that caulk without me trying to cut all that out and remove these screws. So we'll see how that goes. So now I've got the shark tooth on, 5/16. Here's the same exact type of situation right here, covered in caulk. And we're going to put it in reverse here, or actually maybe even forward. I just cut out all that caulk, you can see. So basically it just did the same thing my knife did. Able to get that screw out without having to get out my knife, scraping out the caulk that's around the head of it, and then trying to get in there with this Malco to get that out. So again, is it possible to do all this without this? Sure, but if you've got a job where that $30 that you're going to spend on this is going to be saved in time, then that's when it becomes worth it. Again, just depends on if it's useful to you. There's another one here. Again, I'm going to use the Malco and we'll see what we can do. Takes it right out, cut around that caulk. That one wasn't in near as deep. So again, I think that this is going to work better on things like that just aren't really deep recess, because you've only got so far down in that these teeth will bite. It's the same thing as using your regular Malco. You know, you can only go so far down onto a fastener before you start hitting that magnet. So that's something to look into. It depends on what you're doing with it, but definitely drastically faster than getting out my knife and sitting there scraping all that out to be able to access it. So it's working pretty good for this. Again, just depends on what you're going to use it for. So yeah, that's the 1/4 inch 5/16 sawtooth. I kept calling it a shark tooth for whatever reason. I have no idea why, but it's the sawtooth hex driver from Malco. It's got pretty good reviews. The big complaints on the reviews, one is that cost, and I 100% agree with that. Seems like to me it maybe could be a little bit cheaper, but then again, those Malcos are expensive and there's no kind of tooling that goes into it that's probably a lot like whatever you've got here. And the only other thing that I have seen in some reviews is that some people have said theirs is broke fairly quickly. And again, I don't know what they used it on, or maybe I haven't found anywhere that necessarily says that this is impact rated. I haven't found anything that says it's not. But I would think for what you're mostly going to use it for is going in reverse, and for the most part it's intended for really HVAC people and some screws that are going into ductwork, which shouldn't be really highly torqued like crazy. Again, I took out Tapcons, the bigger Tapcons, out of brick in reverse, which is going to take a little bit more oomph than maybe something else, and I didn't have any issues, and I probably took out 50 to 60 of them over the course of that 30 minutes or so, and you know, I had zero problems with this at all, and it's still held up well. Again, I had to keep undoing it to be able to clean it, so I think that's a nice feature. I would buy this one over those individual ones just for that, because I could see where that would be a big pain getting all that caulking out of there all the time, versus if I can just pull it up and pull it off of there, or poke something through here and push it out here. Overall, I think it's a good product. It worked great for me. I mean, I cut out that one whole side that we did prior to before I got this in the mail. We got back over the weekend. I did all those with my knife, cutting out the caulk, taking my regular Malco, getting those bits out, and this was so much of a time saver that it made it worth it for me. And now I've got it to put in my bag for, again, it's not going to be something I use very often, but I'm going to be glad that I have it. That job paid for it, so now anytime I use it from now on after that, it's going to be just a bonus for me. But again, let me know in the comments below how many of you have these, if it's been useful to you, what all you've used it on, and have you had it snap on you? Have they held up well for you? Have you been breaking them, or has it held up well? Again, I would only buy the 2-inch if it was me, and then use you a bit adapter to make yourself a longer one, because that's as thick or thicker than what this is anyway. So it just doesn't make any sense to spend the extra money to buy yourself both sizes. But let me know in the comments below again how it's worked out for you. Hope it was useful. You guys stay safe. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you on the next video.